Lovely. Let's start standing up. So let's have the feet hip distance apart, toes pointing forwards. And we're going to take it nice and easy, stretching the arms out wide as though we were going to go into a sun salutation. But we're breathing in the whole of that movement and then breathing out, melting the arms, shoulders back and down. So we're going to follow the breath just so we kind of come into the zone and we're focusing. And we'll use this yoga opening to then think about our alignment. So as you follow movement with breath, obviously just good for calming the nervous system, let's just think about the imprint of the feet on the floor. So let's see if we can spread the weight over the feet. Let's firm up the thighs so you may feel the kneecaps coming up into the thighs. Try to have a sense of the inner thighs rolling forward. So this opening of the inner thighs, slight engagement in the glutes, but no tension. Keep going. We can add a little bit of movement for the head here. So letting the head drop towards one arm on the way down. And then obviously switching. See if you can match movement with breath here. So it's the breath in to rise up and the breath out to melt the shoulders back and down. So we have the feet imprinted on the floor, kneecaps up into the thighs, inner thighs shining forwards. And now let's see if we can find some tone in the lower abdominals by thinking about drawing these hip points together. Every time we lower the arms, shoulders melt back and down. And last of all, let's think about the chin in towards the neck. So we've got a really long back of the neck. The next and the final one of this little flow here. Let's see if we can feel the ribs lifting out of the pelvis and really becoming the tallest, longest you can be. Stretch into the fingertips, your fullest breath yet, and breathing out, melting the arms down. So think about flexion, extension of the spine, hands on the backs of the legs. We're rolling down into a forward fold. Pausing here to let the sit bones ride up the wall behind, let the crown of the head melt towards the floor. On the fronts of the legs, hands brush the shins, the knees, roll up through the spine, rolling the shoulders back and down, arms parallel this time, lifting overhead. Deep breath in, bending at the elbows, a bit of a tricep stretch with that hidden prayer. Gentle leaning back. Think more about lengthening the upper back rather than straining the lower back. And off we go again. Hands down the backs of the legs, chin to chest, rounding down. Nice healthy spine. Brushing the fronts of the legs to come up. A little bit of a shoulder roll here. To swoop the arms, palms are facing each other. As far as you can go, bending at the elbows. Maybe hands come into prayer behind your head. Lengthening. Think about the elbows reaching up to the ceiling. Stretching the front of the abdomen, and then last time. Feeling this stretch on the backs of the legs with the support of the hands on the backs of the legs. So you've got that connection between the brain and the muscles. We're rolling up for the last time here. That roll of the shoulders, chest wide open. Deep breath in here, bend into the elbows, press the head into those linked thumbs behind your head, and then release the arms. Last of all, twist for the spine. From a bent position, if we soften the knees, the hands or fingertips may be able to find the floor. Now, if we take a deeper bend into this left knee, the left hand can come to the floor, I'm mirroring you, and right arm can reach up in that clamp opening, chest opening twist. And then the other side, hands or fingertips come to the floor. The right knee bends deeper. Left arm, chest open wide. So we're taking it side to side, maybe another 2 rounds each side. Letting the head hang and only looking up at the outstretched arm if that's good for your neck. Controlling the movement, trying to avoid any jerks. Feeling that nice stretch in the hip, you lean into the hip. And if you complete the set that you're on, we'll hang like a rag doll. Head will be last to come up. We rebuild the spine while we circle out the wrists. a couple of times in each direction. Shrug out the shoulders with soft knees. And we'll come into our hybrid yoga, Pilates, sort of a sun salutation. Feet hip distance apart. We're starting by thinking about our balance. So that slight pelvic tilt, so we engage the core. And we're starting with the right knee lifting. Try to feel that corset pulling in around the waist. Peel the right heel off the floor. Maybe lift. If we've got this, lift and flex the toes. And then think about light as a feather, lowering down, that transference of weight as we go to the other side. Okay, so we know what we're doing with the legs. Let's keep the shoulders back and down. Thinking about long, right through the crown of the head. We can add that flex into the lifted foot. And then as if you're resisting gravity, slowly. Once more like this. Keep that length in the tailbone. Think about it as if we were taking an upright Natsarandasana, the dancer. That length in the core. And right up into the crown of the head. This corset, think about the front ribs coming together. Chin still in towards the neck, no tech neck. This time we'll take the arms overhead. We can always use a wall for stability. Last time we're taking the elbow to the knee. And again, resist, feel space, time. Slowly transitioning and then to the other side. So this is all just preparation for the next flow. Feel the hip points coming together, the tailbone pointing down towards the floor. Spread the fingers. So if we've got that tension right into the fingers, there's a whole chain of muscles will be engaged. All right, this time back to the right leg. Come into that balancing stick modification. The standing leg, take a bend, and we're taking a lunge. So step back, ball of the foot on the floor, and we're initially going to find a calf stretch. So tailbone pointing back down towards the back of the knee, drive the heel down and away, and just pause to feel that calf stretch. Now we're going to come into a sort of diagonal line with the arms. So we're reaching the arms up and we're stretching into the fingertips while the heel's reaching back and down. So initial emphasis is on that calf stretch. Your front knee's bent and over the ankle. Just wave it. Pause here. Now as you breathe in, feel the ribs lifting out of the pelvis. The tailbone's pointing down to the back of your knee. And now, so here we're reaching the legs apart. Now have the opposite sensation, as if the shin needs to come in. So the front heel and the back leg coming together. So scissoring the thighs and just feeling that more stable position in the pelvis. Breathe in. We've got that stretch in the front of the hip. Okay. One set of movements here before we go on to the other side. So think about chest opening, close and open twist. Palms come together. Now let's start with this right hand, opening as if we're in a modified warrior two. The back heel's still lifted. We're reaching for the back wall, the front wall. And then climb, close the arms, shoulders back and down, retilt the pelvis. Now open and twist the other side. Reaching fingertips to the front wall, to the back wall. Remember to keep that scissoring sensation in the hips, slight tailbone tuck. Let's have one more each side. Stretching open wide, chest opener, reaching forwards and backwards. Try to keep this vertical line up the center of the body. Your front knee still tracking forwards over the toes. And last time to the other side. And stretch. Try to feel that stacking of the ribs so we're not following that front arm. We're trying to keep the back arm same level as the front. And then come out. Hands on the hips. We're taking 2 rounds of bending the knees. So stay where you are. The back leg initially is straight. And now tilt the pelvis and take a bend into the knee. Long through to the crown of the head. Try to think where is the ear in line with the shoulder. Once more, and then we're taking it all to the other side. Knee doesn't have to touch the floor. It's just a nice stretch for the hip flexors. Hands on your front knee, on this front left knee. and lightly step your back foot forwards, and we're off again. So left leg this time, lifting, find your balance, right knee softens, we'll hinge forwards with the upper body and step back, find that high lunge position and pause. So initially we're driving the heel back and down, sinking a little bit lower until we get a relief into the calf of the back leg. You can support your lower back. That can also help us to tilt the pelvis and stretch out the front of this left leg. Take a breath here, and then we'll find that diagonal line from the fingertips through to the back of that heel. Now, we're initially driving the feet away from each other, so you'll feel almost as though you're pressing your front shin forwards, your heel back, and then scissors, like you're zipping up. Scissor those thighs together, keep that slight pelvic tilt, and feel all that strength gathering here. Maybe even thinking about pelvic floor lifting, chins tucked. Okay, we've got the twists. Palms come forwards, and we're open first of all into that modified warrior 2. Stretching like a tug of war, front fingers, back fingers, and closing. And the other side, not revolved position. Maybe your gaze goes to the side wall if your balance is fine here. Keep going side to side, shoulders back and down, slight tilt in the pelvis. Opening. So to take that knee bend, we'll place the hands on the hips and we tilt the pelvis and the back knee bends towards the floor and lifts. Just a couple of rounds, lowering towards the floor. It doesn't need to touch the floor. Pelvic tilt, more of a release in those hip flexors. And then weight into the front knee, and we're stepping lightly forwards. And we're doing one more round with a slight difference. All right, right knee lifts, left knee lifts. Adjust, step back. No, I was right the first time. Sorry, I'm mirroring you. So your right knee is stepping back. We're in that high lunge position. Okay, so the same arms, that open close twist, but we're going to link them. So let's see if we can take your left arm forwards, right arm back, but then follow all the way through up to the ceiling and then slice the air down into that twist. Are we there? I haven't over confused you. Breathe in and open the chest wide, arms meet. The breath out, let's sink the arms into that stretch position and lower. Breathe in to rise up, knee stays tracking forwards, the breath out into the twist. One more here. Breath out, arms down. Hands to your front knee, soften your back knee and see if you can light as a feather, step that right foot to the front. All right, shake out the knees last time. Left knee lifts, bend your standing leg and adjust back and find your lunge position. So front knee tracking over the toes, back leg initially straight. And warrior 2 arms, so if we float the arms up. So the same arm as front leg. Keep going. Cross at the top and then breath out into the twist, that same stretch from one side of fingertips to the other. Breathing in, reaching into the fingertips and breathing out. Try and close the front ribs, navel to spine. Looking for a continuous movement. Last one. And then hands to your front thigh. Take the weight into the front leg and lightly step forwards. Just kick back a couple of times and we'll can out, shake out the legs. Brilliant. A little bit of a shake. The last thing we'll do standing up is that extended side angle from yoga, but we'll take it side to side. Nice, just lengthen the sides of the body. So legs nice and wide. We'll start with the toes pointing forwards. Now, left toes point towards the left wall. Take a bend in the knee, check the knees tracking over the toes, and we'll lift that right arm up and over the ear. Now we're avoiding collapsing in the lower shoulder. We're trying to find a stretch from the fingertips down the side of the body to the knife edge of that right foot. And we're coming continuously side to side. We'll lower the top arm, reset the legs, toes pointing forwards, and then the right toes fall out to the right wall. Draw a big arc and stretch. And then follow through, standing toes forwards, over to the left. So go at a pace where you could freeze at any moment. So you're not flinging, you're not relying on any momentum, feeling that mindful, careful movement. So we're never straining, but through repetition of this asana, we'll develop more flexibility. Here you've got that lovely inner thigh stretch, reaching overhead. Last couple of rounds. If you feel you need to step the feet together for a little break at any stage, really feel free to make this your own. Chest open wide. We'll try and for this last round, engage as many muscles as possible. So feet grounding down, stretch overhead. Can you remember when we were thinking about pressing the front shin forward and then scissoring the thighs together? Grip the floor and reach overhead. Slight tailbone tilt, long neck, chin back towards the neck, and then last side. Switch the angle of the feet. First of all, feel the shin of the front leg pressing towards that left wall, and then scissor the thighs together, active through the whole of the legs, adding that inner thigh stretch with the forearm, reaching into the fingertips, and then lower out. Brilliant. Toe and heel the feet in, have a little shake out, and have a little swing around the spine while I lower the camera, ready to come down to the floor. So it's good to know what to expect so that we can go swiftly into the next. Think about extended child pose into balancing cat. So we've got the knees and feet hip distance apart, and we'll start in this extended child pose. So then we're going to come back up onto all fours. Let's just check for this first round that the shoulders are over the wrists and the toes are pointed to the wall behind, not big toes together. Think about a nice alignment here. So once we've got our position, we're going to stretch the right arm, left leg. The left toes, point them down towards the floor. They want to turn out to the side. And then float the arm and leg down, adjust back to your extended child pose. And then straight to the other side, creeping the chest forwards, extend opposite arm and leg. You can glance back at the toes to make sure they're pointing down to the floor. And that sense of stretching from the front fingertips to the back heel, gliding down and sitting back towards the heels. So at your own pace, if you can match the breath, brilliant. You can breathe in to adjust. Transition, breath out into the stretch. Breathing into transition, breathing out into extended child pose. So a few rounds, side to side, movement with breath, calming the whole system down, but repetition giving us that extra strength through the body. Right, to keep the neck long. When we come into this balancing cat position, want to tilt the pelvis, close in these front abs, and reach into the fingertips with the gaze down at the floor. Remember, if I were to run my finger on the back of your neck, there should be no rolls of soft tissue there. We lengthen through the back of the neck. So if we complete the next set that we're on, and then we're going to come down onto our bellies, and we'll work through the legs. Okay, so from your belly, we'll come into a sphinx position in the upper body, shoulders back and down, and we're going to take it in turns to lengthen and lift one leg without bending the knee. So it will be a small lift. Reach for the wall behind you, and then when you lower the leg, it'll feel a little bit longer. So let's go side to side, the other leg, lift, reach for the back wall, that slight spine pull as you reach back and then lower. So that's what the legs are going to do. In the upper body, we'll keep the shoulders over the elbows. If possible, the forearms are parallel. And with the Sphinx, we want the heart to come forwards, the shoulders back. So 3 things on your checklist here. Lengthening through the leg, strong through the forearms, right to the fingertips, shoulders back, heart forward. A little bit of a stretch in the abdomen. Now to do this without straining the lower back, pubic bone, press into the floor. And think about the tailbone, instead of pointing upwards, it's reaching for the back of your knees. So keep long, not just to those pointed toes, but right up into the lower spine. The gaze can be just around the point between the index fingers. Chest forwards, shoulders back, pubic bone pressed into the floor, finding length. So always trying to create space in the hip joint, in the knee and in the ankle. If we can, we think about that long line at the back of the neck. And if there's any strain at all in your lower back, find more of a pelvic tilt and maybe even consider stacking your hands and resting your forehead down. So no straining the lower back. We can adjust everything to make everything comfortable and strengthening. All right, finish the set you're on, and I'm going to get you to roll. If you're facing me, roll on to your left side. We're going to start by bending. We're in a straight line. The lower leg, bend at the knee so the ankle is hidden behind your front knee. And we're going to turn your top leg with the toes, your knee pointing up to the ceiling. So that turn out, external rotation. And we'll breathe in and lift the leg, and then leading with the heel, a slow, lowering down. Shoulders relax. Point the toe, kneecaps pointing up to the ceiling, lift, and then leading with the heel to come down. We've got 3 more of those. Point, keep that turn out. Shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed. So if you do 1 more, and then we're going to move on to an arc. So this will challenge our core stability here. So let's start by zipping the front ribs together, navel to spine, and fingertips of this top hand to the floor. We'll tap the floor in front, and then draw a big arc without moving, changing the curves of the spine. We tap back. So we've got this thigh extension here, no bend in the knee. Tapping forwards and backwards, slow control. Soft jaw, shoulders down. You can lie down and rest the head on your upper arm. For the last one, see if you can go a little bit slower and maybe go a little bit bigger. Now, as that leg goes back, we want to avoid arching the lower back. So use your core muscles to keep spine safe. Okay, this top leg we've been working, we're taking a seated twist. So the lifted leg, place the foot on the outside of that lower knee. Now, if a seated twist isn't happening today, that lower leg can straighten out. So wherever you are, let's see if we can get both sit bones on the floor. Let's hug the thigh and chest together with a little bit of a twist. So this front knee to the opposite elbow, hug in. So contact between the chest and the thigh. A little bit of a twist. Sit bones to the floor and breathe. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves, really let go. We're going to be here just for another maybe 2 breaths. So you can relax the thighs, soften down, but now feel length up the spine. Let the breath steady. And then we're on to the other side. So as the leg raises. So let's go ahead and set up on the other side. And hold the head, that kind of Cleopatra setup, or letting the head rest down. So when we're in a straight line, lining ourselves up with the front edge of the mat, we can then bend the lower knee, just so we've got that wider base, stability, shuffle down. And then we externally rotate this top leg. Point the toes and lift, and then leading with the heel, guiding down slowly. So fairly swift but controlled lift, and then feel that length. So if we work through from the heel, the whole chain of muscles will become strengthened. So finding slow control, particularly in that lowering. So if we think about the curves of the spine, ideally the head's back in line in the same plane as the back of the pelvis. Hip points drawn together, front ribs together. So we're really, even though visibly it's just the leg moving, there's a lot going on to keep the upper body from wavering. And obviously with the next exercise, we'll challenge that even more. So the next one, we're tapping the toes in front, slowly, slowly, slowly drawing a big arc. Now avoid arching that lower back. Tap back, straight leg, stretch for the front of the hip. Slow, control, jaw relaxed. Because this challenges our core stability, it's very easy for the upper body to become a counterbalance. We want to avoid that. Keeping the spine right into the neck as long as possible. These front fingertips just for a bit of stability and reassurance. We want to challenge the core to hold us in place. You're doing well. So we've been strengthening the hip as well as the core. So now let's stretch out that hip with that seated twist. So adjusting, you can place the knee on the outside of the foot on the outside of the knee. So if you need to lean onto that side, and then with a little bit of a shimmy, we can sometimes get the sit bones evenly pressing down. So opposite shoulder towards knee. If you're struggling to release tension in this thigh, you can press down, slow down the breath. You can straighten that lower knee. And then your back fingertips for support. Sweet, take a twist. Sit bones aiming to soften down into the floor. See if you can use your breath to lengthen up through the spine into the crown of the head. The breath out, stay tall and long, but let the shoulders melt down. Sit bones sink a little bit deeper. And again, no harm in just giving a bit of help to the thigh to relax if the hip flexors are still firing up. That contact between the chest and the thigh is key here. And we're finding a stretch across the cheek. You're nearly there. We're just going to take one little strengthener for the core. So if we take the legs out in front of us, have a little shake. So we're really rocking from one bottom cheek to the other, letting the knees, the ankles, toes flop side to side. We're going to set up with the legs up towards the ceiling, bent knees, fine. So let's start by taking a hamstring stretch, stretching and bending. And then I'm going to ask you to hold the head in one hand, other arm overhead. And take a breath in. As you breathe out, press the navel into the floor. We're supporting the head into a curl up, and you're trying to tap the opposite ankle. Pause to close the ribs, empty the lungs, navel to spine. And then breathe into switch. So we're really creating a hammock for the neck here. So avoid any straining here in the neck. Let's think about pressing the navel into the floor. We don't have time for many reps. So go right to the end of that exhalation. Reach, reach, reach. Now the temptation is for the opposite hip of your legs to lean to one side. Try to keep the hips and the navel as if plugged into the floor. Finding that twist as we lift. Obliques strong. So we have all that repetition of the Pilates, safety and strength, calming qualities of moving with breath. So no jerks, you're owning every bit of that movement. Finish off the round, even yourself out left and right, and then hug the knees into the chest. Have a little rock on the spine. We're going to end with the arms in a capital T out wide, dropping the knees to one side, and just pausing for breath here. If this feels nice in that open chest position, come back to this after the session and give yourself a yin stretch here so you can work a little bit deeper through the connective tissue. I would take the knees across to the other side. So the arms out wide, no forcing the shoulders down, no forcing the knees to the floor. Rocking on the back of the head and leaving the head wherever it feels comfortable. Only when you're ready, I'm going to get you to take a full body stretch, yawn if you need to. And that's your 30 minutes. Well done.